Like, subscribe, and comment right now, because once you step into this story, there's no turning back. The sirens cut through the Roman night like blades. They echoed off ancient stone walls, bounced through narrow alleys, and shattered the quiet of Borgo Pio just meters from the Vatican. At 2:17 a.m., a sanitation worker spotted the shoes first. Polished leather, expensive. His name was Luca Ferretti, 42 years old. Italian Ministry of Cultural Heritage. Because Luca Ferretti had been asking dangerous questions, and all of them led back to a place Rome wanted forgotten. Borgo Prison. The alley where Luca died sat less than 300 meters from what used to be Borgo Prison's eastern wall. Inspector Marco De Santis arrived on scene as forensic teams were still setting up lights. A key. Old. Rusted. Heavy iron. Not modern. Not decorative. Prison keys. De Santis straightened slowly, the weight of that realization settling into his chest. Unless someone had kept them. Unless someone still needed them. Within hours, the investigation uncovered that Luca Ferretti had spent the last 6 months digging through sealed municipal archives. Inmates. Guards. Unregistered detainees. People who were never supposed to exist. Borgo Prison had operated for centuries under multiple regimes: papal authority, fascist Italy, early republic. On paper, it was a holding facility. Temporary detention. De Santis assigned his most trusted analyst, Sofia Rinaldi, to Luca's research. 35 years old, sharp-eyed, relentless. Names circled in red ink. Dates scratched out. And one phrase written over and over again like a warning. Non dovevano assai vivi. They were never meant to leave alive. One name appeared more frequently than the rest: Enzo Vitali. Vitali had been arrested in 1968 during student protests. Official records claimed he was released after 6 months. But Luca's notes suggested otherwise. Vitali vanished inside Borgo Prison. As De Santis read the notebook, a memory stirred. His father, a junior officer in the 1970s, had once warned him never to ask about Borgo. By morning, pressure came down hard from above. The ministry labeled Luca's death a robbery gone wrong. He didn't. Instead, he went to Borgo Prison himself. The building loomed quietly in the early dawn, its stone facade deceptively calm. Inside, he met resistance immediately, until Sofia found something no one had erased: a hidden access point behind a modern drywall partition, and a keyhole that matched the key found beside Luca's body. When they unlocked it, the air that rushed out was stale, thick, untouched by time. This level wasn't in any official records. Below, they found cells unlike the others. On one wall, a tally of lines, hundreds of them, etched deep into the stone. Someone had been counting days. In the far corner of the underground chamber, Sophia's light landed on something that made her step back in horror. A pile of personal effects. Watches, rings, letters, identification cards. Proof. These men had existed. They had been imprisoned. And they had died here. But the most disturbing discovery came last. A ledger. Leather-bound. Wrapped in oilcloth. Preserved. Inside were names, dates, and signatures. And at the bottom of the final page, written in the same red ink Luca used in his notebook, was a single sentence: "If this place is ever opened again, someone will have to pay." Footsteps echoed above them. The door slammed shut. And in that moment, De Santis realized Luca Ferretti hadn't been silenced for what he knew. He had been killed for what he was about to reveal. Because Borgo Prison was never just a jail. It was a machine, and it had never truly stopped running. If you think this story is intense, you're not ready for what's coming next. The door above them rattled once, then fell silent. Inspector Marco De Santis killed his flashlight and pressed his back to the damp stone wall. In the sudden darkness, the underground chamber seemed to breathe. Air shifting, dust settling, the past waking up. Sofia Rinaldi stood frozen beside him, her pulse loud enough she swore it could give them away. They waited. 30 seconds. A minute. 2. No voices. No footsteps. Whoever had closed the door wasn't coming down. Not yet. De Santis turned the flashlight back on. "Someone knows we're here," he said quietly. "And they don't want us leaving." They worked fast. Sofia photographed every page of the ledger, every scratched name, every signature that tied Borgo Prison to powerful figures still alive, or with families who still were. De Santis memorized faces from old identification cards, many stamped with dates that never appeared in public records. When they finally forced the door open and emerged into daylight, Borgo Prison looked different. Less abandoned. Less harmless. Like a predator pretending to sleep. By the time they reached headquarters, the case had changed. Sophia's analysis revealed that several names in the ledger belonged to men who later rose into positions of influence: judges, industrialists, even a former interior minister. Their careers began immediately after Borgo officially restructured in the early 1970s. The implication was chilling. Borgo Prison hadn't been shut down. It had been cleaned. That night, Sophia received the first warning. An unlisted number rang her phone at 1:06 a.m. She answered, already regretting it. A man's voice, calm and measured. "You're standing on ground that doesn't belong to you." Before she could respond, the line went dead. The next morning, Luca Ferretti's apartment was broken into again. This time, nothing was stolen. Instead, someone had left a single item on his desk. A prison key, different from the first. Smaller, newer. A message. DeSantis knew what it meant. Someone wanted them to understand that Borgo's legacy hadn't ended in the basement they discovered. It had evolved. As pressure mounted, witnesses began to disappear. An elderly man named Carlo Mazzini had contacted Sophia after recognizing one of the faces published in a leaked newspaper photo. He claimed to have been a Borgo guard in the early 1970s. Nervous, but willing to talk, they scheduled an interview. Carlo never showed up. His apartment was found unlocked, dinner still warm on the stove. No signs of struggle. No body. No missing person report filed. Within 48 hours, another lead vanished. A retired archivist who had helped Luca access restricted files died of a sudden heart attack. No autopsy ordered. Patterns emerged. Anyone who touched Borgo's secrets was being erased. DeSantis pushed harder, requesting warrants, reopening cold cases tied to names in the ledger. The response was immediate and brutal. He was suspended. Administrative leave, they called it. Badge and weapon confiscated. Case reassigned to a task force that would quietly bury it. Sophia wasn't reassigned. She was fired. Unofficially, they were done. But the truth had teeth now. Working from Sophia's apartment, they built a timeline from fragments: prison intake logs, hospital records, death notices that didn't align. Borgo Prison wasn't just a detention center. It had been a filtration system. Political dissidents. Organized crime figures who refused cooperation. Witnesses who knew too much. People disappeared there, and in return, loyalty was bought with silence. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became that Borgo's final years weren't chaotic. They were efficient. And someone had inherited that efficiency. Sophia traced a financial trail tied to renovation contracts awarded in the 1980s. Shell companies. Offshore accounts. Payments disguised as urban development funds. All of them led to a private security firm with government contracts across Europe. Its founder's name made DeSantis stop breathing. Enzo Vitali, the same man Luca Ferretti believed had never left Borgo alive. According to public records, Vitali had resurfaced in the late 1970s under a slightly altered name, claiming political exile. No photographs existed from that period. No fingerprints on file. A ghost with money. They realized the truth too late. Vitali hadn't been a victim of Borgo Prison. He had been its most successful product. Someone who learned how the system worked from the inside. Someone who survived by becoming useful. That night, Sophia was followed. She noticed the reflection first, a black sedan mirroring her turns. When she ducked into a crowded cafe, it waited outside. When she left through the back, it rolled forward. She ran, down side streets, through alleyways that smelled like rain and rot. Her phone buzzed once. A text message. "You should have stopped at the ledger." She barely made it inside DeSantis' apartment before the car pulled up. They watched from the window as two men stepped out, scanned the building, then drove away without a word. No confrontation, no threats, just confirmation. The next morning, DeSantis found his father's old notebooks hidden in a storage box. Yellowed pages, handwritten notes, names that overlapped with the ledger. His father had known, and he had stayed silent. The final entry was dated 3 days before Borgo officially closed. "If this ever comes back," his father had written, "it won't wear chains. It will wear suits." DeSantis realized then what Luca Ferretti had truly uncovered. Borgo Prison wasn't a place anymore. It was a network. And networks didn't die quietly. They adapted. They protected themselves. And they punished anyone who tried to expose them. As DeSantis closed the notebook, his phone rang. Blocked number. He answered. This ends tonight, the voice said. Come back to Borgo. Alone. The line disconnected. Outside, the city moved on, unaware that beneath its streets, beneath its history, a prison that never released its prisoners was preparing to close its doors one last time. And this time, it wasn't going to leave witnesses behind. Imagine this. The gates of Borgo Prison, a place officially declared abandoned, are standing wide open. That alone feels wrong, right? A man named Marco DeSantis decides to walk right in. The night air is thick with the smell of wet stone and old secrets. He's been summoned to meet a very powerful, very dangerous figure. His mission? To end a cycle of corruption that started decades ago. He walks unarmed, a sign of trust or maybe foolishness. Inside, the prison isn't dead at all. Emergency lights flicker on, one by one, guiding him down decaying corridors. Someone has been keeping this place alive. He follows the light to the heart of the prison, the old execution chamber. And there he is, Enzo Vitali, the man who pulls the strings from the shadows, dressed in a tailored coat that looks completely out of place in this ruin. Vitali isn't here for a fight. He's here to recruit. He tells Marco that his own father once stood in this very spot, faced with the same choice. Join the network or be crushed by it. Your father chose his family, Vitali says, and I'm offering you the same wisdom. Vitali's empire was built on control, on secrets buried so deep they became truth. He calls it order. Borgo Prison was just the beginning. But just as Marco is about to give his answer, everything changes. A woman bursts into the chamber, phone in hand, live streaming to the world. Her name is Sofia Rinaldi, a journalist who's been chasing this story for years. It's over, Vitali, she yells, her voice shaking but determined. You can't erase the internet. The world is watching. For the first time, Vitali, the master manipulator, looks uncertain. But then he laughs. You think exposure ends power? He asks. With a snap of his fingers, the lights die. Gunshots echo in the darkness, creating pure chaos. Marco tackles Sofia to the ground as smoke fills the room and alarms blare. It's a symphony of panic. When the lights flicker back on, Vitali is gone. His men are gone. It's like they were never there. All that's left is an empty chair and a single phone on the floor. Sofia picks it up. A video file is ready to be released. It's Vitali's contingency plan. A final, devastating move. The video contains everything: confessions, names, evidence of crimes stretching back decades. It's a digital bomb designed to burn his entire network to the ground. He didn't just escape. He chose to detonate his own empire on his way out. The fallout is immediate and global. Arrests, resignations, scandals that topple governments. The world is shaken to its core. Borgo Prison is no longer a dark rumor. It's a scar for everyone to see. Vitali is never found. Some say he retired to a private island. Others believe he's already building something new from the ashes. Months later, Marco and Sofia watch as demolition crews tear down the last walls of Borgo. Do you think it's really over? She asks. Marco looks at the rubble and says, prisons don't disappear. They just change shape. Later that night, a construction worker finds an old plaque hidden beneath the debris. The inscription reads, "Silence is survival." A chilling reminder that some secrets never truly die. This story might be over, but the game has just begun. If you think this was intense, you won't want to miss what comes next. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you're the first to know. Thanks for watching.